All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our another virtual session. You are watching YouTube Live. We are from Java User Group Bangladesh. I'm Bazlur, your host. I'm from Dhaka. Where are you from, all? Let us know in the comment section. In the top right or bottom right corner on your browser where you are watching the YouTube, there is a chat section. You can write there. You can ask question as well. We'll try to answer your question as much as possible. So today we have a special guest, Alexis López, joining all the way from Colombia. Hey, how are you doing, man?
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you for attending this session. And thank you for the invitation as well.
You are welcome. Hey, so it's a winter. What is the temperature over there?
Well, actually, we don't have seasons like winter, summer, and stuff. We do have raining time, but most of the time it's hot. I live in a city which is near to the ocean.
Okay.
So most of the time it's hot. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. In fact.
That's right. Yeah.
So all right, those who already joined earlier, that we are here where we do a virtual session bi-weekly. That is every other week, and we talk about various topics related to software developments. Today we are going to talk about Git. I'm sure everyone use Git. I mean, in fact, it is a de facto version control system for software development nowadays. So I'm sure you are going to enjoy it, and Alexis is going to introduce a lot of interesting things. And since this is a beyond Git add commit push, so we're going to learn a lot of interesting commands and how we are gonna, solve some specific problem that we deal with always. So before going to the session, let me introduce Alexis first. Alexis is a Java champion. He is a Oracle Java developer champion as well. In fact, Oracle Ace, right?
Yeah, I'm an Oracle Ace as well.
Okay, so he also Oracle certified Java developers, and the most interesting thing is he won a Deep Choice Award 2 times. Hey, Alexis, can you tell about that to our audience as well?
Sure. Yeah. The Deep Choice Award it's a competition that it's run during the Oracle Open World and Java 1. Well, Oracle Code 1, which is the new name of the conference. And the reason that this competition exists is because they want to promote those projects that are using Java in an innovative way. For example, the first Big Choice Award I won, we made a project as an open source project. So users of the Tomcat server could manage Tomcat instances in their network. Pretty much what Docker does right now, but in that time there wasn't that Docker hype, and not everyone was using Docker, and so there was an alternative. So we sent this project to the committee, and they evaluated our project and other projects. Well, in the end, we won as an open source initiative. Yeah, it was in Brazil, so we were very excited. This project was developed by Cesar Hernandez, another Java champion, and me. And the second Duke Choice Award was a community effort. We started to join another Java user groups in Latin America. So we created something called JSpanish, which is a community of all Java user groups in Latin America. And we started to run events on our countries. So we run events in Peru, in Colombia, in Ecuador, Guatemala, Mexico, etc. And Well, it was a great initiative, and we sent this community effort to the contest, and we won in the community initiative. So it is great to be recognized for work you do, and community work, because in the end, this isn't a paid job. This is something that we like to do. We love to share our knowledge and trying to create new communities and join them. So in 2017, we were recognized with a Duke Choice Award. So if you happen to have a Java project and you're using Java like in the newest um releases of Java, or you're doing Java in, in an innovative way, I encourage you to go and look for Duke Choice Awards. Stay tuned for the openings, so you can submit your project for evaluation, and maybe you can win a Duke Choice Awards as well.
All right, congratulations. Thank
Thank you.
you for sharing the idea how we are gonna in fact participate in this effort. It's really helpful. In fact, it's sort of the way we can get recognized ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he has a plenty of knowledge. In fact, you can already understand he has done a lot of work, and he has huge experiences that we can get benefited from. So without further ado, let me give it over to Alexis. Alexis, let's start about this session.
All right. Thank you. So I'm just gonna share my screen. Here you are. Actually, I'm gonna share my whole screen. Okay.
All right.
There you go. Just let me know if you can see my slides.
Yeah, we can see your slide.
Great. Okay. So welcome everyone to this session. We are going to talk about Git, some advanced commands, some workflows, and a cloud service where you can host your Git repositories. I want to say why I want to tell you why I decided to do this presentation. I'm a consultant, so I work with clients and their development teams. Sometimes I train their development teams. Sometimes I join their development teams. And what I've noticed is that many of the developers know how to work with Git. They know how to add, how to commit, they push, they pull, they do all these basic commands with Git. But when I started to look into the Git history, I noticed that they don't really follow some rules in terms of the how to do a good commit, right? Like how to rewrite or the history so you can have a better Git history. And I think that's important, like the source code, having the Git history is in a good shape. It's important because sometimes you have to revert commits, or you want to go to one commit because you want to test if in that commit this bug was inserted or not. And so having a good Git history, it's also beneficial for your project. So that's why I started to do this session. It does not have to nothing to do with Java. Git can be used with Java, JavaScript, with whatever. So I enjoy presenting this topic. Okay, a little about me. We already talked about me, but if you wanna follow me, this is my Twitter account. This is a blog I write, but it's mostly in Spanish, so not really sure if you can follow it. But I live in Colombia, which is a country in South America. Specifically, I live in Cali, Colombia. Cali is the name of my city. You may heard about Cali because of its dark past, but we're really much more than that. You know, we are nice people. We are friendlier because of the weather. As I told you before, it's hot, and so we are more open. You know, um, we have the salsa dancing, uh, a lot of meals like chontaduro, shampoos. I mean, there's a lot of things, better and good things about Cali that you may know or you may not know, but I encourage you to visit sometimes if you can South America and come to Colombia, and you're welcome. Okay, before I start with the topic, I want to talk about the Groundbreakers program. This slide, we recently changed the name of the program. It's not a developer champion anymore, and now it's the Oracle Groundbreaker ambassadors. But the concept is the same. We are a group of people who are working with development in the cloud mostly. Modern topics like microservices, DevOps, continuous delivery, etc. If you want to know more about this program, look at it, search for it in Google or in another search engine. Use Oracle Groundbreaker ambassadors. Okay, this is not the name anymore, so I'm really sorry. I haven't updated this slide. Okay, so before we start with Git, I want to talk about the Oracle Developer Cloud Service platform, which is a development platform in the cloud. So you can have a lot of services for your development team, like repositories in Git, test automation execution, Maven repositories, Docker registry if you're doing things with Docker. And you get out of the box continuous delivery and continuous integration. Also, you can have your tasks for your teams. You can manage all tasks. You can do agile boards. You can, for example, if you're using Scrum or if you're using any other agile methodology, you can use the platform and start, creating tasks for your team, assigning those tasks, and manage all the team right from the service. You can get some reports, and there's collaboration using wikis, code snippets, and merge requests to your Git repositories. If you are talking about Git in the Oracle Developer Cloud Service, you can manage users, you can create branch stacks, follow the history of some branch, create or edit files, create merge requests, collaborate on those merge requests, approve them, decline them, etc. I'm going to show you in the end, if we have enough time, I'm going to show you the service in the browser, so you can follow the options I just talked about. You can see them, in reality. But right now, let's talk about the Git workflows, which it's important to follow a workflow when we are working on a project. and each project has its own workflow. You know, when we start working on a project, most of the time, someone has already defined which workflow is going to be used for the project. But if you happen to start a new project and you have to define what workflow, it's important that you know some of the workflows that are there and that you can work, and you can define and decide which is more uh, beneficial for your project. So the workflows are guides. Okay, this is not like rules. It's just guides. Like, hey, if you wanna do a commit or a merge, do it this way. If you wanna create branches, do it this way. Something like that. And team members of the project are encouraged to know which workflows or which workflow we are using in the project, because they are working in the project and they need to know which workflow we are using. And of course, there are different workflows for different projects. No, I mean, there is no one workflow for everything, okay? So let's see, for example, the feature branch workflow. In the feature branch workflow, we have the master branch. And from the master branch, we start to create new branches to develop the new features of the application. So if I'm a developer of this project, I will create a new branch. I will, of course, use a name for my new branch, which could be like the customer's CRUD, for example. And I start working on that branch, like doing all the changes I need to do. Other members of my team could start their new branches, and they can start working on their new things. And eventually, we all are going to take our code to the master branch, like using merge request. So other members of my team can review if I'm using the development standards, if I'm using the things, or if I'm doing the things that my task was telling me to do. And that way, we all create this environment of peer reviews. So our code can be, with better quality when we merge it to the master branch. Okay, so if you notice, this workflow uses a lot of branches, but that's okay because Git works with branches very well. This is also the base to other workflows that we are going to talk about in a minute. And it encourages collaboration. Like I was saying, when we go from my branch, which is, for example, this, to this, there is something in here which is called a peer review. A peer review, right? Okay. And someone from my team will review the changes that I did to the code and will evaluate if those changes do exactly what the task was asking for, and if I was using the standards that were defined for the project. And also, what this gives you is it's another pair of eyes, if you want to say it like that, to look into your code before it goes to the master branch, and so it's supposed to have a better quality, right? Okay, so the next workflow we're going to talk about is the Git Flow. Probably the feature branch is the most used workflow, probably, but For big projects, and where the projects have stable releases time, like for example, we release every 6 months, or we release every 15 days, for example, the Git Flow may be something that you want to explore. In the Git Flow, we have a master branch, but we also have a develop branch. Notice something about the Git Flow is that the master branch lives for a long time, but the develop branch also lives for a long time. Okay, it's not like a feature branch where you finish your work and you merge your code and then you remove the branch. In the Git flow, the develop branch also lives for a long time. So you can understand the develop branch like a mirror of the master branch, but we're going to talk about the difference just just in a moment, okay? So when we start working or on new features, we start creating feature branches from the develop branch. Okay, so in this workflow, developers are not going from the master branch or taking their code to the master branch, but they start interacting with the develop branch. They start working on the develop branch, and then maybe there's a problem in production, and the code that is in production is in the master branch. So there's a new branch which is called the hot fixes. Hot fixes are branches created to fix problems in production systems. So the base of the hotfixes are the master branch, because the code that is in the master branch is the code that is in production. Okay. So someone starts working on the hotfixes. Eventually, they finish their work and merge that fix into the master branch. And since the develop branch and the master branch happens to be mirrors, they also merge the hotfixes to the develop branch. Okay, so when the developers start working on new features, they go from the develop branch and they can have all the fixes and all the code from there. Okay, new developers can start working on the new features, and eventually we will merge our code into the develop branch. So it's been a month or 15 days or whatever the project says about releasing, and there appears the new branch, which is called release. Release 1 or release 2, release the version of this project. So when the release branch appears, it takes code from the develop branch, because that's the code that is being developed, and now we're into the release phase where new tests are run, or code is reviewed, or like the last phase of the development. If new errors are found, those errors are corrected in the release branch. Okay, and of course, if we correct those errors in the release branch, we have to eventually merge it to the master branch and, of course, to the develop branch. So the difference here between the master branch and the develop branch, it's in the develop branch, you have all the commits. You notice if you have more dots in here, for example, this dot, this dot, and you don't have it that, the master branch. So the develop branch is where the developers go to see the history, the Git history, the complete Git history. But on the master branch, we will have only those commits that are released or some hot fixes. Okay, so you don't find all the commit history in the master branch, but in the develop branch. So that's kind of the difference between them. Obviously, both branches have all the code, but the develop branch has the complete commit history of the development, and the master branch only has like a resume or commit merge from the develop branch. So this workflow defines branches, like we just saw, the role of those branches, right? For example, hot fixes are for this, develop branch is for that, and the release branches, they have the special meaning, like we just discussed. And of course, if you notice, this workflow is useful if your project uses a release model, like we release every month or we release every 6 months, etc. There's an extension that you can install, which is called the Git Flow, which helps you creating all these branches, right? You can create all these branches manually, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna create the master and the develop branch, and I'm gonna whenever I merge a hotfixes in the master branch, I will merge it to the development branch, etc. But if you wanna use the workflow, the Git flow in an easy way, I recommend you to explore this Git flow extension, which already knows how the Git flow works. And whenever you merge a hotfix, it will merge it to the development branch and will do the things it will do things automatically for you. Okay. And if you want to know more about this workflow, here you can find. Oh, sorry. Here you can find a link to the person who started using the Git flow. You can read there the intentions and why this is better for this kind of projects and stuff. Do we have any questions for the moment, or can we continue?
We don't have any questions right now, but you can go ahead.
Okay, great. Let's keep going. Okay, so now the last workflow we're going to talk about is forking. Forking is used in the open source projects where there is an official project and an official repository, which is called the upstream. And if I want to work or contribute to that project, I create something which is called the copy, the fork. And of course, the copy will use the same workflow that is using the official project. Eventually, I want to send my contributions to the official project, and those contributions will be reviewed by someone called the repository owner. That person will check if the code I'm contributing satisfies what the task was asking, or if it is really a bug fix, or if the code is good enough to go to the official project. That's the responsibility of the repository owner. So he denies or approves integration or merge requests. That's how the open source works right now. If you go to GitHub uh, and you want to contribute to any open source project, most of the time you will have to fork a repository, start working on it, and then request or do a merge request to the repository owner, and that person will denies or approves your code. Okay. So some recommendations about the workflows. There is no one workflow to rule them all. As we already saw, there are many workflows. You can create your own workflow if you want, but try not to reinvent the wheel. Um, Before you start creating a new workflow, go there and read about Git workflows and or try to use the ones that are already there, like for example the feature branch that we just saw, or the Git Flow that we saw. And if you're using open source projects, I'm pretty sure that you will use the forking workflow. And sometimes the business model influences the selection of a workflow. For example, if you try to create or if you try to develop or release your project in every month or 6 months, etc., but your business model needs continuous releases, maybe the Git Flow won't be maybe it won't be a fit because the business model is asking you to release more frequently. Maybe feature branch is more adequate or will fit better for the project. So you have to take account into that. Always, the code in the master branch should be complete and functional at all times. It is the code that is going to be in production, so it has to be working. If you create branches for the feature branch, try to create a short-lived branches. So whenever you finish your work, merge the branch and remove it. Unless you're using the Git flows, the Git flow has new branches that are long-lived. Like for the example, the development branch, it lives as long as the master branch lives. So, but if you're using feature branches, try to create short-lived branches. Use meaningful names. Of course, these are just some recommendations. You can use whatever names you like, but if you create branches with meaningful names, it will be easier for you to remember what were you doing in that branch. Also, if you are committing, try to use meaningful messages that later you can use to search into the Git history for possible bugs, introductions, or looking for something that you want to do again. So if you create meaningful and clear messages, it will be easier for you to find that code. And each commit, try to commit a complete and coherent code. So for example, don't commit, if you are creating a class that depends on another class, don't commit just one of the classes, okay? Your commit must have both classes because there's a dependency there. And you want that commit to be complete. So try to do frequent commits, but those commits try to be complete and coherent. And what I mean coherent, I mean what I'm trying to say is if you are changing one screen or one page, you don't commit that change, but then you start working on another task and start changing another page, then don't commit both changes in the same commit. Okay, do one commit for the previous task, another commit for the new task, so so they are current to the task you are working with. Okay, that's it for the workflows. Workflows are just guides, so you can be more organized when working with Git. But now we're going to talk about some advanced commands that you may have heard, but you want to see how they work and why you will use it. The first one is git stash. Git stash, it's a quick save for your work. For example, you're working on something, one of your teammates arrives and asks you to help him or her with something, and you don't want to lose your job, right? You want to say, okay, I'm gonna save this for the moment, and once I save and say I have saved that, I can change to another branch and help my teammate with whatever his or her request is. And so Git stash gives you that functionality. You can work with something else and then come back and continue with what you were working with. There are not commits involved. You can reapply your changes whenever you're ready, but it is only local, right? If you git stash something, it won't go to the remote repository. It will stay in your machine. So I'm gonna just show you how the git stash works and some commands that you can use for that. So for example, I'm gonna create here a new file, which is called file1. Okay, file1. And this is a terminal to that directory. So I just initialize the Git repository, and here we have a file1. So I'm just gonna add the first commit. Okay, initial commit. I'm gonna call that initial commit. All right. I'll get a status, and we're on a master branch, and there's no changes. All right. So I'm gonna create a new change here. I'm just gonna say, let me just change. Okay. I'm just gonna change the font so you can see what I'm typing. Okay, say hello. Okay, this is a change. So when I go back, I can see that my file 1 is modified because I'm working on something, right? So my teammate arrives and tells me, hey, I'm gonna need some help. Let's change to another branch, but I don't want to lose my work in progress. So I will use the git stash command with an option called save, and I'm gonna add a meaningful message of what I was doing. So I'm gonna say here, creating say hello message, for example, if that's what I was doing. Okay. So once I do that, the git stash will quick save my changes and will leave my working tree clear, so I can move to another branch and do whatever my teammate needs, right? So whenever we finish that work, I can go back and say, okay, I wanna continue my work where I left it. And how can I know see what I was working at? There is a special command stash list, which shows you the entries on the stash, and each entry are the changes or the work in progress that you were doing. So, for example, I just did one, and there's the stash at 0 index, and here you can read the message that we just add. So, the more clear or the more meaningful message you can enter, the more easier for you when you see a lot of entries in the stash and try to select the one that you need. So here, for example, I'm gonna ask Git to apply the stash at index 0, right? So the apply option will go into the index that I'm saying there, in this case, stash 0, and apply those changes to my current branch. Okay, so I'm in the master branch, so those changes will be there as well. I'm just gonna go back here and reload this text editor. You can notice that my file is empty again. But once I apply this stash, it will be modified again. If I reload it, you can see this is the work I was doing, and I can continue doing it, right? So this is a nice command, but it has some how can I say that? You have to be careful when working with new branches, because when you create, sorry, not new branches, new files. I'm gonna create a new file here. Let's just go file2. And if you notice, my Git status says, okay, you're modifying file1, but you also created a file2. So if I'm gonna do a Git, I'm just gonna add something on file2, okay? But if you're going to stash this work in progress, you will have a problem, because new files that are not part of Git, I mean, files that Git is not tracking, are not going to be saved in the stash, right? Unless that you use a special flag here that says, okay, the untracked. But I really don't recommend. I have had problems with this. Okay, the stash adds the untracked files and all that. But what I recommend is that if you are going to use stash, first add whatever you like to stash. Okay, so I know that my file1 is already modified and extracted by Git. But if I want this file to be stashed, I recommend you, because I have had problems using the minus u. I recommend you to first add the file to Git, and then do the stash save. For example, another stash. And so that way, our working directory is clean again. My file 1 is empty, and look that there is no file 2 because we saved it to the stash. And if we go and see the stash again, you will see that there are another stash entry. And stash uses the last in, first out strategy. So you can notice that the new stash I just created is now at index 0. And I want to apply that again. But this time, I'm just going to use another attribute or option, which is called pop. And what pop it does is that it will take that entry that I'm just saying there. By default, I can use this pop, and it will use the entry at index 0. Or I can say, okay, use pop, but at this entry. So what pop does is that it goes to that entry, applies the changes, and then removes the entry from the stash. So when I do this, I will have, again, my changes here. Look that we have the file 2 there again. And if I reload the file 1, it will have the changes again. But if I'm going to look again at the stash list, it is now removed. Okay, so you can use pop or apply. It's up to you, but just remember the pop removes the entry and apply does not remove the entry. In the end, if you don't need more stash, you can just clear the stash. And whenever you list the stash again, it will be clear. So, okay, that's the stash. There's a lot of more things that you can do with stash. I'm just gonna show you these slides that you can use later, and follow all these options that I have here. But just remember, the -u, I have had problems with it. So if you wanna stash something that is new, first add it to the Git and then do the stash. Okay. Let's keep moving because we have 10 or 11 minutes. All right. Yeah, well, I just read in the latest Git that Git save is going to be deprecated for Git push. But yeah, if you're not using the latest Git version, you can still use the Git save. That's no problem. Use meaningful messages, as I always say, try to be clear and clean and meaningful. Of course, don't let your stash for months, because next month you won't remember what were you doing. And if for whatever reason you're trying to apply a stash and you get conflicts, you can always apply those tasks to a new branch. You just have to add, you just have to use this command, branch, and tell the name of your branch. That way, the changes will be applied to a new branch, not to the branch you're current at. Okay, that was Git stash. Now let's see Git cherry pick. It lets you select and copy a commit from one branch to another branch. And in case of conflicts, well, you have to fix the conflicts, and then you can say if you want to continue or abort the cherry pick. You have to remember that when you cherry pick something, there will be a new ID for that commit or those commits that you are cherry picking. So, for example, on the right, we can see that we have the master branch and another branch which is called a feature. And for some reason, the master branch needs the needs this change. There we can use the cherry pick, so D will be now D with another ID on the master branch. So let's see how that works. I'm just gonna look what we have here. No. Okay, I'm just gonna add the. I'm gonna create a new branch. Check out the new branch, and I'm just gonna add the status. I'm just gonna add this new file as a new commit on this new branch. Git commit new file to file. Okay, that's my commit. Now I'm going back to the master branch. What we have in the master branch is the modification we did to the file one, so I'm gonna commit that. Commit on the master branch. Yeah, I know we're not using a workflow here, but this is just for demonstration purposes. And say hello message. That's what we did on file one. Right. So oh, sorry, I didn't have the file. Yeah. Okay. So my working tree is clear. And if I notice, I have two branches, the master branch and the new branch. If I do a git log -n2, I can see that my master branch has a say hello message on file one and the initial commit. Okay, I'm gonna open a new terminal here, and I'm gonna move to the new branch. And if I do the same, I can notice that the new branch has the new file, and of course the initial commit that we had in the master branch, right? You can notice that the commits of the initial commits are the same. Look at this, 70667 669 is the same on the left side. And now we, in the master branch, we would like to have this commit. But what if there are a lot of more commits on the new branch? I don't want to merge that branch into the master branch because it will bring all those commits, but I just need this one. So there is when you can use the cherry pick. So if you want to do the cherry pick, I'm just gonna move again to the master branch. You can say git cherry pick and type the, I don't know, the git hash commit, the ID of that commit, and it would apply that commit into the current branch. Since I'm in the master branch, right, because I'm in branch master, if I do now the git log -2 again, I can notice that, okay, I don't know. Let me just put it like here. Yeah. I can notice that my branch, master branch, now has the new file, but look at the commit ID on the new branch is different from the commit on the master branch. You can notice here we have different commit IDs. So you have to know that, right? That if you copy a commit, it will be a new ID. But when you, whenever you merge the new branch into the master branch, there won't be any conflicts. Git will know that those commits are the same, and I mean you won't have any problem with that. Again, there are another options from the cherry pick. For example, if you add the -x, in the commit message, you will have a new message which says, okay, this commit was copied from another commit, and it will say which ID commit. And yeah, you could have duplicated commits. That's I mean, if you want to have this functionality, you have to accept that you will have duplicated commits, because we just saw that we have different IDs commits. All right. If you want to copy many other commits, it's better to use a merge or rebase, because cherry pick, it will be good if you have different commits which are not consecutive, right? But if you want to, have commit 1 from to commit 5, maybe you can do a merge or a rebase. Okay, another command that I like a lot is the amend. The amend lets you modify the last commit. Okay, only the last commit. It will let you add new files to it, or it will let you change the commit message. By default, it creates a new commit with the same author and timestamps, so that's fine. And here is how it works. We have a feature branch with commits ABC, and then we want to amend the last commit. The last commit in this case is C, right? Because it's the last one we just did. So when I do the git commit amend, it will now be a new commit, which is called D. Okay, so it happens kind of the same with the cherry pick. It will have a new ID because it's a new commit with new changes. So let's see how it works. I'm just gonna stay here at master status. I'm on master, and I wanna change the last commit, which is the new file, right? The new file that we just copied using the cherry pick. What I wanna do is that I wanna change the message of that commit. So git commit amend. Commit amend. Okay. Let's do something first. Let's say I wanna also add a new file. Okay, so I wanna add file 2.1, and I wanna change my commit to also have the new file 2.1, because it's something that is it's also from the file 2. Let's say that it's related to the file 2. So what I do here is git commit minus amend, and it will.
Yeah, Alexis, there will be 2 minus actually, double dash.
Okay, that was okay. Let me see. Yeah, well, it did it with just 1 minus, but yeah, maybe it's 2 minus. Let's just see what happened with my history. Yeah, it's 2 minus. You're correct. So that commit is wrong. Should be fixed. Should be corrected. I'm just gonna delete that. That commit. Okay. This is another command, which is the git rebase interactive. Look, that the minus I is from interactive, and it will let you change the history of what you were doing. Because I want to delete that commit. Okay, I want to delete it. I did it wrong using just 1 minus when I should have used 2 minus. So I'm just gonna say, okay, I'm sorry. Just like this. So this commit lists the three latest commits. You can see here some of the options that you can use with the Git rebase. Git rebase interactive is not part of the presentation. I'm just using it because I wanted to see that you can actually change the history of your Git commits. You know, I did a mistake, and I don't want that commit in there. I wanted to remove it. So if I want to remove the last commit, which is this one, I just have to either use drop here, right? Because if you notice, drop removes a commit, or I could also remove a line. And if I remove a line, that commit will be lost. So when I save this, my commit, my rebase is finished, I can again look at what commits do I have and look that we don't have that last commit again. Okay, I just removed that last commit because it was a mistake. So I'm just gonna do the commit again, but this time I'm gonna do it properly. And I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna see what do we have on the stage. We have this one, this file. And I wanna amend, git commit, amend my last commit. Okay. Okay, let's go. Okay, what is? I just type git commit minus.
Amend is single M.
What was that?
It's a single M.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. That's just a single M. I was typing the wrong name. So when I do this, you can notice that we're gonna have two new files in that commit, and I can also change the commit message. New file, file loss, and file one. And when I save this, I see again my Git history. I can notice that after the say hello message of file 1, now we have a new file 2 and 2.1 into my Git history. So that's the way the Git commit amend works. Of course, if you only need to change the commit message, you can Git commit amend and change the commit message here. I mean, you don't want to add any new files, you can do that as well. But if you want to add a new file, but don't change the commit message, there's another option that you can use git amend minus no edit. And the minus not edit, what it does is that it adds. Oh, sorry, I think I didn't add the file, right? Yeah, I didn't add it. So I'm gonna do it right now. So what it does is it adds a new file to the commit, and it will use the same commit message that we had. Look that we had this commit message, we didn't change it, but we did add a new file, which is called file.2. File2.2. So that's how git commit amend works. So yeah, if you wanna change the last committer, you can also do it. Just check another options. What other options you can use with the amend command, and you can change the committer. You know, like, okay, this wasn't doing by no user noreply.com, but it was made by López at gmail.com. So I want to change the committer. I can use the amend with another option that you can look for. and you will have a better Git history. So the gold rule when doing modifications to the Git history is do not modify those commits that you have already sent to the remote. Okay, if you are working locally and you haven't pushed your changes to the remote, it's okay that you do the amend, you do the rebase that I just did, all those things that creates new IDs. That's okay. But if what you are doing is changing uh, uh, commits that are already on the remote at the or that maybe another team member is using, the gold rule is do not change that, because you will have different Git histories and it will become a problem when you want to merge those histories. Okay. Of course, if you happen to have all the privileges of the Git repository, you may, oh sorry, you may use the -force command when using a push, and it will, override whatever is in the remote with the new Git history that you have locally. But most of the time, you don't have those privileges. So be very careful when doing Git commits, Git rebase, and Git cherry picks that changes. Well, cherry pick doesn't have that problem, but Git commit amend or Git rebase may have those problems. So the last command we're going to talk about is the Git rebase. It's just so what the Git rebase interactive mode is. I show you that I can use the -I, and then I can change my Git history with another commands that you saw there. But the Git rebase essentially means, okay, I created a new branch from another branch, but for example, my master branch is moving with new commits, and my new branch needs those commits, or maybe I want that my new branch appears like it was created after those new commits on the master branch. That's what I'm going to show you here on the right. Here's my master branch. I start doing commits. Then I create a new feature branch from commit C. But the master branch keeps moving with accepting new commits, right? For whatever reason, my feature branch needs the E commit that now the master branch has. So when I do a Git rebase, what I'm saying is, okay, I created this feature branch from C, but now I want this feature branch to be created from E, and that's where when I start using the Git rebase master, which is the branch from where I want to rebase from to the feature branch, and now my feature branch will have a base on E, but notice that the F commit and the D commit that we have in the feature branch now have another IDs, because we changed the history, so we start changing the history to all commits on the feature branch. But the idea is that you want your new branch to appear like it was created from the latest commit of the master branch. Yeah, I think we don't really have enough time to check this, but you did see the Git rebase interactive. We did it in the last command. I encourage you to look at these commands start using them. You know, when you start using them, you will have that sensation of, oh, I'm writing a really good Git history. Look at this Git history, is so beautiful. You know, like you will have that satisfaction, like you're delivering good code quality, but also you're delivering good Git history for the project. So I encourage you to follow and read more about these commands. Of course, there are many other commands, but I think if you start using these three that we saw, or four, yeah, I think it was four commands. You will start acting or having better Git history, and you will start using more advanced Git commands. So you can say, okay, I know the Git basics, but I also know the Git advanced commands. The goal rule is, of course, the same. Do not modify those commits that you have already shared. Don't break it. If you want some more information about what we just talked, Atlassian has a good tutorials on Git. You can go there and see many other workflows, for example. And of course, the official book from Git, and you can see there all the commands and all the options that you can use with these commands. And the developer cloud service, where we can host our repositories or Git repositories. We won't have enough time to see it, but I encourage you to look at this service if your company already has an Oracle cloud service. I'm pretty sure they have the developer cloud service because it is included in some of the Oracle cloud services. So just remember, it's a development platform as a service. You can get your Git repositories there and start working and collaborating with your team. Okay, that's pretty much what I have to say. I really hope you have enjoyed this presentation, and thank you again for having me.
Hey, Alexis, we have a few questions.
That's great. Should.
All right. So the first question is about the commit message. Do you have any suggestion how to write commit messages or any best practices?
Like a standard, you mean?
Yeah.
No, there are actually no standards as far as I know. But what I do most of the time is that I write. Okay, when you're looking at what a Git commit has, the Git manager tells you which files were changed in your commit, right? So most of the time I don't write, okay, I changed these 3 files. No, I don't write that. What I write is what exactly I did or what was my task. But what I do add is keywords, for example, from my task assignment. So if my task assignment is 103, I will add to the message task 103 dot, and then I will add a summary description of what I did. Add the new table for customers. And if I really need to add more meaningful message, I will leave 2 blank lines, like 2 enters, right? Like 2 blank lines, and then I will start writing a summary, or no, not a summary, a detailed explanation of what I did. But that's only if I did something like, I don't know, like I changed some structure that needed to be changed, for example. But I did change it because my task really needed. So I add that as a detailed description. But most of the time I add in summary my task ID, a summary of what I did, and if I did something that is really like a change of structures or change of uh, data types, for example, I will add a detailed message to the commit. But yeah, there's no standard like, okay, in the first line add this, the second line add that. I will say just if what I will say is the first line is a summary, uh, uh, two blanks, two blank lines later, you can write a detailed explanation. That's what I most of the time do.
Okay, great. So we have a few more questions. Uh, so there is another question about merging branches. So which one is actually preferable? Merging the branch in locally and then push it to the remote, or merge the branch in the sitting in the remote. Yeah, for example, if you have github.com or maybe uh, Bitbucket. So if you, let's say if you create a pull request, you have to merge those two branches. And why do you want to do it in the remote or in locally?
Yeah, what I will do there is I happen to have these tools because not everyone has access to those tools. I've seen projects where they don't have a Git repository manager, but they just have a Git and use Git locally. But of course, they will use it locally. But what I would prefer is having a tool like these ones that you're mentioning, for example, Bitbucket, Oracle Developer Cloud Service, GitHub, etc. They all have the pull request or merge request functionality. I would prefer that because it will encourage collaboration within the team. You know, when you do a merge request, uh, uh, your teammate will receive the notification and will start reviewing the changes that you want to include in the master branch or in the branch you want to merge to. Uh, and then I can start adding observations to the, I don't know, you don't need to change this file, or please don't do this code because it's too complex. Try to change it. You know, I can start adding notes to the changes that my teammate wants to include in the source code. So when that person sends me another merge request, I can see what observations or observations I did to the previous one, and I can compare if he or she is doing what I asked them to do. So I would definitely prefer to do it in the tool that you can have in the cloud. Some tools, like for example GitLab, you can install them in your own servers. So it's not on the cloud, but you can use it on your servers. But I would prefer to do it in that tool.
All right. So great answer. Cool. Now we have another question, which is, let's say if you have uh, used the command git hard reset, and is there any way to recover the data from git hard reset?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Okay,
Can you
so
say it again?
yeah, sure. I'm repeating it. The question is, how can I recover data from a git hard reset? So if you commit, if you, let's say, remove the data using hard reset, git hard reset,
Yeah. The git, and that's a command. Hard reset is a command where you want to forget about all changes you have done,
yeah.
and clear the working directory.
Right.
But I didn't get the first part of the question.
So if we happen to use this command and remove the all the data, is there any way to recover that later? Let's say it was a mistake. Mistakenly, I have done this hard reset. Now later, I want to
Oh,
recover those.
oh, so if you did a git hard reset and you want that data back,
Yeah.
ooh, oh man, no, I'm sorry, I don't think there's something you can do because once you do the hard reset, that data is not in Git anymore. Maybe if you have, for example, a Git directory inside something, for example, Dropbox, you could do something because you can go to Dropbox and see what has happened to that directory. But um, yeah, if you're not, if you only have the Git directory, I don't see that you can recover the data. I'm sorry, or at least
All
I don't know how to recover that.
all right, no problem. So we have another questions related to Git tags. We add tags. So do you have any best use cases or best practices for using Git tags?
Um, well, I don't really do much with tags. Whenever we release the the new version of the software, I just do a tag because if for some reason I need to go back and fix something, I know I have the exact code as we released it. But yeah, I don't think there's any, like best practices for tags. What I will say is just add a meaningful tag name, like I was saying all over the presentation is try to be clear and meaningful. Um, if you create a tag, try to create it with the version you're releasing, or using the numbers that your project used for versioning. But I mean, a tag is there's not much you can do with a tag, so I don't think there are like best practices for tags. At least I haven't need them, you know.
All right, no problem. So let's see. We have two more questions to go. Then we'll I know we have already we have passed 1 hour. In fact, it is 1 hour and 30 minutes already gone. So let's take these two questions and then we'll complete the session. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the question is about reflog. So he wants to know about any use cases of reflog. Do
Use cases about Git Flow, you mean? You said?
no reflog. Reflog.
No, I don't get it.
Huh.
Reflog. Oh, the reflog. The command reflog command.
Right, right. So
Wow, that's like uh, I would say be very careful when using the reflog because the reflog lets you get deep into the Git history. I try to avoid it as much as I can. Um, in fact, if I cannot do what I need to do using the Git rebase or the Git commit amend, uh, I don't go to the reflog. Um, the only thing I once I tried to do with reflog was when you add something to Git from the very beginning, like for example, some of your teammates accidentally or by mistake they add a file to the repository that does not go there, right? I'm gonna put this example. I was reviewing a Git repository that was big in size, but it had a few files actually. What I noticed is that someone added a file of 100 MB by mistake, right? Like they did a git add all, and it was there. So the problem in Git is that even if I remove that file is still exists in the repository. It's just it was in the beginning, but in the during the time at some point it was removed. But Git needs that file in the history because if for whatever reason I go back to a point in time where that file existed, Git needs to show me that file. And yeah, so the only way I found, to really remove that file was to doing something with the reflog. But yeah, in the end, I remember I couldn't do it, and there was a lot of alerts about not using the reflog or be very careful about using the reflog. So I didn't use it in the end. I'm sorry I don't have a use case, a successful use case, but yeah, you have to be very careful when you wanna go there.
All right. So we have the last question, which is about merge tool. So he asks about the questions that do you have any preferred merge tool? For example, he used IntelliJ IDEA for merging branches.
Uh-huh.
Which one do you use actually?
Where do I merge actually?
He wanted to know when you have a conflict, you resolve the conflict and then merge. IntelliJ IDEA is pretty good at showing the conflicts in a graphical manner, right? So I mean, many people use IntelliJ IDEA, but do you have any other tools? In fact, if you don't use IntelliJ IDEA to merge
Oh,
from the
yeah.
conflict.
Yeah, as you notice, most of the time I use the console, the the console that I just presented. But of course, for conflicts, it is not easy to resolve conflicts using the console. So if I'm using IntelliJ IDEA, I definitely will go with IntelliJ IDEA. Or if I'm using JDeveloper also has a similar mechanism. It shows you what was before, what was your change, and in the middle, you can add whatever you want, and in the end, you can say, okay, this fixed the conflict. But if I don't have any of those, a tool I used to use is a Source Tree. Source Tree is a free tool that you can find in the Git website. You find it as a Git client. It's a Source Tree. It's from Atlassian, if I'm not wrong, and it's very powerful, and it's descriptive. It shows you with colors and stuff, and it's a good tool. It's a tool I have as a backup. If my IDE doesn't have what I need, or if a console doesn't let me do what I need, I go explore that tool and do there what I can't in the others.
All right. So thank you, Alexis. We are out of. We don't have any more questions. So, I mean, it's already a 1.5 hour. So let's call it a night. And thank you again for your time. And we really appreciate you have managed 1.5 hour for us.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoy presenting on topics that I that I have some experience, real experience. So I hope that all the attendees got the message. You can use Git as you like, but when you start using these commands or these workflows, you're gonna feel like you're doing it the right way, being more productive and organized when using Git. Um, I appreciate it, and well, good night for everyone. I know that it's night at your time zone, and here it's noon, so I'm just gonna grab something to for lunch. Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Alexis, again. We really appreciate your effort. Thank you. We will see you again someday,
Okay.
maybe for some
Yeah.
other sessions.
Sure.
All
Thank
right.
you. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.